I'm your Wednesday show host, Raven Payne, and you're listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. We got a great show coming up with a Mississippi Moments and a news wrap, even a great interview from some graduating seniors on USM campus. Don't touch that dial because Charlie Luttrell and Gary Grove will share some things that you don't want to miss.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online. Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
A lot of events are happening on Thursday, April the 20th. There is a senior show in graphic design in the George Hurst Building, Gallery of Art and Design. An exhibition of Art Plus Design, BFA, capstone projects by seniors in graphic design. This will happen from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Diversity Talks will feature 4 speakers who will address diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the workplace. Additionally, they will provide insights on career opportunities, racial harmony, inclusive diversity, and the power of communication. This event is organized by the School of Media and Communication and sponsored by the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at USM. This event is open to the public. Any questions should be addressed to jwall.sheen@usm.edu. This will happen on Thursday, April 20th at 11 o'clock a.m. to 12:30 p.m. in the Thad Cochran Center, room 216. From 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on April 20th, the School of Media and Communication is hosting their annual event to celebrate our seniors, scholarship, and award winners. All are welcome, including parents, siblings, and others who may wish to celebrate the achievements. It will be happening at the Joe Powell Theater in the Thad Cochran Center shortly after 4 p.m. A highlight reel of students' work across our majors will be playing in the theater and on television set up during our time to mingle. There will be hors d'oeuvres and soft drinks at the event. I hope to see you there. In Hattiesburg, our BroFest 2023 kicks off this Wednesday. This is the event 31 year hosted in Hattiesburg, spreading the messages of community and service. According to the official BroFest website, the event has served as a weekly fellowship consistent of community service, social activities, and networking since its inception in 1992. Activities kick off Wednesday afternoon and last through Saturday night. In Mississippi news, the state's first ever Topgolf is one step closer to coming to Ridgeland, Mississippi. On Tuesday, city leaders collectively approved an ordinance to establish the Prado Vista at Ridgeland Overlay District. Along with Topgolf, the multi-million-dollar development will also include a national grocery store, 2 hotels, and more than 100,000 square feet of office space. Gabriel Prado, who's the CEO and president of Parcon Global Investment Group, said it would be 77-acre mixed-use development. Now that city leaders have approved rezoning the site, Prado says this project will have a huge economic impact on the state and also will breathe new life into the area. The project will be located at Colony Park Boulevard and Sunnybrook Road. It also will include 228 homes for sale in a Riverwalk. Now that this vote has been made, there will be a 10-day legal period in case there are any appeals. Seeing that there are none, Prado says his goal is to break ground on this big project at the end of the year. In our national news, the 84-year-old white man accused of shooting an African-American teenager who rang his doorbell in Kansas City turned himself in Tuesday and was later released on bail. Andrew Lester, who faced 2 felony charges, assault in the first degree armed criminal action in the April 13th shooting of Ralph Yar, who will be arraigned Wednesday afternoon, according to Yar family attorney Lee Mermitt. CNN has reached out to prosecutors to confirm the information. Lester turned himself in at a detention center Tuesday, then hours later were released on bail. The conditions of his $200,000 bond prohibit him from having any type of weapon and cannot have direct or indirect contact with Yar or his family, according to Clay County Sheriff's Office and spokesperson Sarah Board. As you may know, Ralph Yar, the 16-year-old African-American boy, was shot in the head and arm after he went to the wrong address to pick up his siblings. He has been released from a hospital, but faces a difficult road to recovery. We'll be right back with sports and weather after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Beginning Sunday, April 16th at noon is a new show on Southern Miss Radio. It's called Don Rodney Radio's Rhythm and Blues Show. Hi, I'm Don Rodney Radio Vaughn, an alumnus of the University of Southern Mississippi, where I earned a PhD in mass communication. Students need to listen to and learn about Mississippi Delta blues artists, the primary R&B category I feature. Don Rodney Radio's Rhythm and Blues Show every Sunday from noon until 2 on WUSM FM 88.5 starting 416.
Welcome back. On our USM Sports, Jorge Corona collected an RBI double and a solo home run to lead Louisiana Tech to a 3-1 non-conference victory over Southern Miss Tuesday night at the J.C. Love Field. The two teams will conclude their season series in Hattiesburg next Wednesday, April 26th at Pete Taylor Park at 6 p.m. The Golden Eagles this week will travel again this weekend to face Sun Belt first-place foe Coastal Carolina. The series starts Friday at 5 p.m. Southern Miss sophomore Momakai Ando claimed a tie for third place at the Sun Belt Championship during the final round on Tuesday afternoon at LPGA National. Ando became the fourth golfer in program history to pick up all tournament team honors. The Golden Eagles finished with a 297.3 season stroke average, which is the second best in program history. It's only the second time in program history a Golden Eagles squad has gone below 300. To keep up with all Golden Eagles sports activities, head on over to southernmiss.com. In our weather, expect to find more sunny skies later this afternoon, with only a bit of a cloud cover to start the day. We'll still be on the cool side then as well, but will warm rapidly under sunny skies with light through southerly winds. Still, that's not going to change anything for what our weather has looked like all week, but it will have us in the mid to upper 80s across the area by Thursday. Up next, we have Bernard Tessman, who designed the Stennis Space Center, recalls his experience. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. Before designing the Stennis Space Center in Hancock County, Bernard Tessman worked for Dr. Werner von Braun in Nazi Germany. He explains.
Midsummer 1935, I got my mechanical engineering degree. And through a friend of mine, it just so happened I met Dr. Werner von Braun. And he told me, why don't you come to my place? I have a little research work, entirely new work, and as a young engineer, you might be very interested in. And so through the Air Force, the German Air Force, I was hired. The work was rather interesting. Since we had only one typical engine at this time, there was not much design work for me. And so I said, Dr. von Braun, is this the reason I went 5 years to college just to do this type of work? And then he said, why don't you try to design a test facility where we can test larger engines? And from this time on, I was his facility designer, you know.
To hear more, visit MississippiMoments.org or just like us on Facebook. Mississippi Moments is supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. Humanities are for everyone.
That was Bernard Tessman, who's designed the Stennis Space Center, recalls his experience. Up next, we have a great interview with Charlie Luttrell and Garrett Grove. We're going on a break, so here's a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Are you in a hurry? Well, I am. But as a paralyzed veteran, I had to overcome incredible challenges just to regain my independence and return to work. Finding a parking space shouldn't be one of them. Illegally parking in spaces reserved for people with disabilities is not only wrong, it's against the law. So please, think twice before pulling into a reserved parking spot. Even if it's just for a minute, it's 60 seconds too long. This has been a public service announcement from United Spinal Association.
Now, please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Charlie Luttrell and Garrett Grove. Hey, Charlie and Garrett, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Doing pretty well. Thank you so much for asking, Raven.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on here, for being a guest on Southern Miss today.
Of course.
Please introduce yourself so that we can know who you are and who you represent.
Okay, so my name is Charlie Luttrell. I'm a senior journalism major, sport management minor, and I've since a freshman, I've been a part of the Southern Miss Student Media Center, started at the Student Prints, then became a sports editor, news director, and now I'm the producer of 4th Street. So I've been all around, and just a couple more weeks, though, and then, yeah, it'll feel weird to leave College Hall.
Yeah, I have to agree with that sentiment, Charlie. My name's Garrett Grove. I am also a journalism major, graduate in about a little less than 3.5 weeks. I'm counting down the days, nothing like most people. But, you know, I haven't had as much of a history with really Southern Miss Student Media. I started in my junior years, or like August 2021, but I've gotten involved in a lot of different things. I was on the radio. I used to do it a whole lot more often. That was kind of my main gig. Then I also did stuff for the Prince, SMTV, and now currently my main focus is on SMTV since I am the executive producer. We actually film our last episode tonight.
Okay. What made both of y'all pick your majors?
Oh, I'll go first. So I was a big sports fan always, and got some involvement in high school and doing some media things with sports. So really, I was trying to combine, you know, my interest for sports with, you know, technical like writing skills and stuff like that. So I thought, you know, going to the School of Media and Communication would allow me to, you know, learn more about those skills, and it has. Even though we might not have like technical like sports classes, there's also a sport management minor here. So I was able to combine that and also learn some things that, you know, I wouldn't have learned if I went a different route. So yeah, that's a short answer to that.
Yeah, but definitely very interesting. I guess kind of my basis for getting into journalism kind of also stemmed outside of high school. I'm not high school, college. I guess I'm confusing me graduating as a senior in high school now, but ultimately, it started when I was a sophomore in high school, and basically I got into a journalism class by accident. I tried getting out. That didn't exactly work, despite my wholehearted effort in trying to get out. But ultimately, after a while, I just said, you know what? This journalism thing actually seems really interesting. So I kind of stuck with it, became extremely involved in my high school's journalism program. TV, it was called Bruin News Now, it still is. I don't know what season they're on right now, but definitely was really proud to have a role to play in the first few seasons of the show. And, you know, that experience kind of got me into college to major in journalism, and it's something that I am glad I did.
In every, through the semesters, through, you know, freshman year to your senior year, do you ever feel like you want to just like change your major at one point if they got too hard or stressful?
I'll be real, yeah. Yeah, I really, and it's not because, you know, I won't say like dwell on the negative stuff, but my experience with sport management has been really good. So like if I were to change, I would made that more of a concentration. And because I was so involved in here that I felt like I could have, learned more in my courses at sport management and still picked up all the skills I did even without a journalism major, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's really the only reason, but it really depends on what, you're looking for out of your degree. And I think we all learned that even if you have an idea coming out of high school, it's not what you are expecting when you get to college. You learn things along the way. So I don't regret anything, but I did realize.
Right, I have to also mirror that sentiment as well. Kind of going into my freshman year, I was in a completely different place, both literally and figuratively. I wasn't even at USM, I was at Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. And so I was in the mindset of not even really getting involved with student media at the time, which is kind of ironic considering my background in high school. But the pandemic kind of made me reevaluate some things, kind of came closer to home, came to USM my sophomore year. And, didn't really get involved to journalism my junior year just because, things were kind of still in isolation mode and things of that nature. But to kind of answer your question about changing major, I never really considered changing a major. Did I consider maybe doing something different with my minor or maybe even considering a double major? Yeah, potentially. But ultimately, a lot of what we think about now at this point is kind of goes back to the old saying, hindsight is 2020. Of course, you might have done a little bit something different here, might have taken a different class, might have chosen a different professor for a particular class. I'm not trying to imply anyone in school media communication is like that. Everyone's great. But what I am saying is, holistically, I'm satisfied with the decisions that I've made, and I'm glad that where I ended up.
Yeah,
so.
we're here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't changed now.
Yeah.
With being y'all roles and yours in the 4th Street Sports Show and yours as the executive producer, what are like the responsibilities you have to uphold?
Yeah, good question. So what I do as the executive producer, and the role could be a little bit different just depending on the news organization, particularly even for college, but I'm the main person kind of in charge of making sure all of our content is kind of relegated into the show. I kind of write the scripts. I kind of correspond with our reporters to make sure they turn in stuff on time. I have a really great just support network of people who are not just reporters but also in SMTV leadership. Really could not get anything done without Cordavion Carter, who's our assistant producer, who kind of makes sure all the files are on our solid state disc so they can appear and we can, have the show, the substance actually for the show appear physically and record that. And also for our technical media producers, Yanni Furge, who basically is in charge of graphics, which frankly a lot of people, including myself, probably need a little bit more work with. But frankly, I would say that it's just kind of that. It has been stressful at times, and I think a lot of leaders will, even within Southern Miss Student Media, will attest to that, but it's also been rewarding. If nothing else in terms of content, just being able to interact with people who are passionate about, getting into journalism and making stories that make a difference in USM and in their communities.
As the producer, basically I'm in control of marketing and branding and planning the actual show, so what the content is, but some of our other guys are more hands-on with the content production this year, as Garen and I have been pretty busy with Capstone reporting. We'll be talking about that, but yeah, mainly kind of focusing what the content of the show will be in the actual, where it gets released, when it gets released, and who's coming on, that sort of thing.
This is probably my last question before we get into depth what we're going to be discussing. What can say your best moments that you have seen or done in the student media?
I would have to say with 4th Street Sports Crew, this was something we started 2 years ago, and it's been we've been able to make like a team and kind of a brand of sports coverage, and we've developed friendships through that. I mean, you get to make your own voice when you have a team like that, and that's been a really fun thing to do. So and people appreciate that. They kind of look for a different voice of coverage, I guess you could say. And that's something we've been able to develop, and it's just been fun to hang out with the guys, but also do work. And I think we do some pretty good work.
Yeah, also a great question. Something that I would say that I'm definitely also proud of kind of relates back to an organization, of course. I would say both Charlie and I have done stories that we're also proud of, especially with some of the investigative pieces that I've done, not only this year, but last year, and maybe even some of the interesting pieces that we've also done. I'm still really like your story kind of on, the snake.
Ah, yeah, that was fun.
articulated python you held on your neck. That was 15
Yeah,
feet
I've done
long.
a lot of stuff. I've
Yeah.
done a lot of stuff.
But ultimately, I guess, just kind of reflecting on it as a whole, I think kind of the organizations that we've really invested into is what we're probably most proud of, especially for SMTV. It's something that I definitely enjoyed being a part of, kind of being able to kind of make something and mold something into my own and be able to kind of work not only with kind of students, but also kind of leadership who are also students, or even staff leadership, to kind of create a product and create something that people can identify with and we can ultimately be proud of. And so ultimately, I would say that SMTV is kind of, maybe not necessarily my baby, but a kind of a baby that starting in August 2022, I kind of picked up and have been taking care of ever since. So.
Yeah, Garrett was one of the first reporters, really, to, I think, be the face of SMTV, and now as producer. So just over the last 2 years, I mean, Southern Miss Student Media is pretty new. I mean, just started last year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of sad, but, a lot of the people that started it are leaving, but I think we have a really good core and foundation. Carter with SMTV, and we got Dima for 4th Street Sports. There's a lot of people, coming in Southern Miss Student Media, and we always encourage other people looking to join to get involved too, because it's really good experience for students.
Yeah.
Now has the ice been broken? What is the digital journalist capstone?
Yeah, so I guess we can kind of tag team on this. There's a few different parts. I guess I can start with the individual. So for the individual part, which ironically I don't think most of us have kind of done too much editing or writing for that quite yet, we're basically do a story focusing on sort of a people-centric issue. And so what I did my capstone individual project on is actually focusing on disability accommodations by the university, and how kind of what that's like for students to kind of deal with that. What does the university do in particular? Pretty much getting my last interview for that later this week, but that's kind of what I'm working on. And I guess in terms of our group project, I know we're kind of doing a story on mental health.
Yes, so this is our last kind of, I guess, I won't call it obstacle, but last thing to tackle, It's supposed to demonstrate all of the skills we've learned throughout our time here at USM, and it's a group of 20 of us. Last year it was only 9, so we've had 20 students to kind of tackle this issue. We decided to go look into mental health, because it's not just, it's a discussion around the country right now, around the world, but especially within campus and just younger demographics, the effects of mental health and the state of mental health. So we spent the semester kind of getting our plan together, talking to students, trying to talk to campus resources and resources around the community to see what's available and just what the sentiments, the feelings are around mental health on campus. And really, the results, I guess we could say it was kind of expected, but we learned some things as well. I think there's a lot of things in this community that are doing good, and that is really, I guess, rewarding to see. That a lot of people have met these struggles, had these struggles, and been able to, satisfy what they need through other services, whether that's on campus or off campus. So that's really what our project has been focusing on. We each had different groups of where to look at. I know Garrett's was pretty important campus resources, and my group was focusing on the cost of mental health. Finances can be a huge burden for students, and so what's it look like for students that need to get help for mental health, and what do these services charge? So it was just questions that might not have been answered yet. There really hadn't been much talk to our what we've seen just on campus and through the Student Media Center on mental health in a while. So we wanted to explore into that.
Do you think it is difficult to do the project, or easygoing sort of way to do the project?
Ooh, I wish we would, as always, I wish we would have had more time, because we spent a lot of it planning and kind of waiting, which if I feel like as always, more time would have helped us solve that issue, but because a lot of it was just kind of tackling how were we, going to go about this big project. But really, in the last 3 weeks, to see, I think people have gotten really active. We've gotten, you should see our file share. I think it would be like a terabyte worth of information right now. We've got a lot of students that talked about it to us, some, community resources and campus resources too. So really over the last month has been go time for us, and we've gotten a lot of information.
Yeah, I would kind of have to agree with that sentiment as well. Definitely have kind of been into a mode where we essentially kind of just hammer out and get content for what we need. Part of that is just kind of realizing our, I guess, mission and ultimately what we need to do, but ironically, part of that is also procrastination, right? Kind of endemic of pretty much any individual or group project, right? But at the end of the day, I'm really proud of what this group has done, being able to work with people like Charlie, as well as other people in our class who really are kind of devoted and really focused on their craft and really being able to kind of make something that I think we can be all proud of.
Okay, this will be the last question. Do you have anything you want to promote about your project to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, like Gary was kind of saying, we got some professionals in our group. People put their heart into this, and I think really got committed to what this project could do for the community or what it says. So I am excited to show the end result. I'm pretty sure we're all excited to show it. We're having a premiere next Wednesday, April 26th at Stout Hall, 6:30 p.m. It will be after the grad fest, the grad crawfest.
It's like grad and crawdads,
yeah.
I think. So.
Yeah, so if you're graduating and want to see what other seniors are doing, just like the graphic design students are showing it, you're welcome to come to that. And we'll premiere our video. It's going to be basically like a 60-minute style news series, and it's named USM Silent Suffering. So make sure to follow our social media pages. We'll be premiering and kind of teasing information until that premiere date on Instagram and Facebook, and that's USM Silent Suffering, as well as YouTube.
Okay. Thank you both for being a guest, for coming on today and providing a voice to our Eagles. Coming up, we got Dima Mixon from the 4th Street Sports tell the tale of USM winning the recent weekend.
Southern Miss Baseball swept James Madison this past weekend to earn their first ever Sun Belt Series win. On Friday, Southern Miss did just enough to beat James Madison 7-6, despite getting out-hit and committing more errors. Southern Miss head coach Scott Berry was relieved that his team was able to hang on despite the shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean, any win is a great win. It's not easy to come out and win baseball games. I know a lot of people think it is. You got to do a lot of things well, and sometimes when you don't do them well, you're fortunate to do enough to get the win. We were the 3 errors. Kind of bothers me a little bit right there, but
the Golden Eagles were lifted by a solid relief outing from freshman Cross Sibley. Sibley threw for 3 innings, allowing just 1 run, along with 4 strikeouts. Sibley came in with the bases loaded with 1 out and worked Southern Miss out of the jam, allowing just 1 run.
I don't know, I just listen to music before the game and really get my mind right. And then in the pen, I don't really talk to anybody, like the coach or the catcher or anything. I'll just throw my pitches and get in the zone.
In Game 2, the Dukes and the Golden Eagles were in a classic pitcher's duel before the rain came, with no score between either team through 6 innings. Before a 4-hour and 10-minute delay, starting pitcher, Southern Miss pitcher Billy Oldham was pitching a gem against the Dukes, only allowing 1 hit. Oldham was on track to complete the game if not for the rain delay.
We knew going into it that they didn't strike out easy last night. They were, fouling pitches off, some of the most foul balls I've seen yesterday off of Tanner, and they were putting balls in play and nothing too hard. We knew they didn't have a lot of power as a team, so they were going to just hit singles, and so I knew if I would attack them, then they weren't going to beat us with homers and stuff, and that's what's been like, I guess, my struggle this year is that when I leave a ball up, it gets hit hard. So if they didn't beat us with home runs, I knew I could keep the ball down, get them to hit some ground balls, and attack the zone is always the goal.
After the rain, the bats shined for Southern Miss, including home runs by freshman Nick Monaster and designated hitter Slade Wilkes. Monaster's homer was his first of his collegiate career. He explained it to be one of the best experiences of his life.
Oh, it was amazing. I've never felt anything like it. Growing up as a kid, you always want to hit your first college homer, and it was the best experience that ever happened in my life.
Won Game 2 by a score of 7-1. In Game 3, the Golden Eagles were eyeing a sweep, and the hitting from Game 2 went right over into Game 3. While leading already 6-1 in the third inning, Slade Wilkes knocked in his second homer of the weekend, including a 3-run shot to make it the score 9-1. Directly after his homer, Sargent followed him with a home run of his own. 2 innings later, it was deja vu. Wilkes destroyed a ball for a grand slam, followed again by a Sargent homer. Wilkes said after the game he wasn't doing anything different with his swing.
Day to day, I just go down to the cage, get my swings in, honestly, just keep doing what I'm doing.
Sargent said he was proud of the way the team was able to respond throughout the day.
Yeah, we came out, man. I can't be more proud of this team. You know, we've been just trying our best to come out and just play well. And, you know, I feel like it's really clicking for us now. The biggest thing is just, I don't know, dude. Just this lineup's gonna click. You know, Slade's been clicking all year long. And I really feel like, you know, 1 through 9, we're swinging it well, we're seeing the ball well, and you know, it's going to build off all this.
The sweep moved Southern Miss 22-12. And tied for second in the Sun Belt before a huge series with Coastal Carolina on the docket. Scott Berry wants to focus game by game still, though, throughout the week. This has been Dima Mixon with the 4th Street Sports Show.
And that is a wrap. Thanks for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. Huge thanks to Matthew Lee, our audio engineer, our video producer, Devontae Eddy, Jalen Pagan, our assistant producer, Kelsey Bowden, our assistant manager, as well as our executive producer, Miss Whitney Howard, and our general manager, Dr. Wilbur Martin. I'm your Wednesday show host, Raven Payne. Stay Golden Eagles.
Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significant